This isn't a podcast. This is a therapy session.
Yeah, we worked through some stuff here for sure. Yep.
Welcome to this episode of the Cool Dad Shirt Podcast.
I will jump right in.
Dude, dive right in. We'll take it from there.
This first story comes to us from Jenna.
I can't wait.
Jenna is sitting next to me at the dining room table the other night. She's doing some schoolwork, and I was on the computer maybe doing some work or some research or something, and she was reviewing one of her college lectures. All of a sudden, she stops, and she's shaking her head and says, "Dad, you have got to hear this." So she plays it back, and apparently the teacher took a break from the presentation and went to the bathroom, flushed the toilet, washed her hands, and came back and continued the lecture.
All on audio.
So she must have just recorded the session and then posted it and never reviewed or ran it through a quick edit.
Could you actually hear the flush, Mike?
You could hear the flush. You could hear the sink and the soap dispenser.
Oh, no.
And I thought to myself, I'm paying how many $1,000 a semester?
Yeah. You could actually do the price per minute on some of those things and ask for your money back. Yes.
Now to more show-related content. You know anybody that has any of those new e-bikes?
I know many people who have e-bikes, actually, and I was very opposed to them. I kind of like my road bike and my mountain bike, of course, pedal, powered by Rich. But Eric and I were recently out in Sedona, and there was some pretty serious distance over some pretty serious inclines. And we rented some e-bikes, and I do have to say that was a much better way to go in 95-degree heat with steep inclines. I think you and I joked before how different it is than back in the day with mopeds. People were embarrassed on mopeds. Now e-bikes are all the rage. Yes,
back then, if you had a moped, you were mocked. You were made fun of.
Rightfully so.
It was goofy. And of course, they don't look as cool as the e-bikes do. I mean, you got this weird skinny motorcycle with pedals on it. It was not the coolest or the slickest looking mode of transportation. So these e-bikes, I see everybody zipping around all over the place now.
Actually, downtown Schenectady, where I work, in this past year, the amount of people firing around downtown on e-bikes and scooters like quadruple. It's crazy how many people are out on electric powered scooters and bikes and stuff like that. So it's becoming not only a cool thing, but a pretty reliable transportation source, I think, in good weather. Yeah.
Are people sticking to the roads, or are they riding them on sidewalks? Because that could be quite dangerous.
It is quite dangerous. In fact, just last week, I was walking back from lunch into our parking lot, and there was an e-bike underneath a truck with a guy like holding his knee. Mike, people are maniacs. There's no adherence to rules. They are going full throttle through downtown. And I think the truck was turning into our parking lot, and the guy was just rifling down the side, right into the side of the vehicle, and slid underneath. I think some new regulations are about.
I think so.
Some new laws are coming because people are maniacs on these things these days.
They go relatively quick too, don't they?
They got some
30,
power to them. Yeah,
maybe 30 miles an hour.
I think there's some rules governing how fast they can go, but I think you can buy them out of state or alter them and just do what you want to do. But it is absolutely dangerous, at least in a downtown setting.
I see a lot of kids with them over here. I don't know how expensive they are. Maybe they've come down. I thought initially they were a little on the pricey side.
I think they are. I've not priced one. They ain't cheap. I know that.
No. Sadly, all I think of when I see a kid riding one is lazy kid. We had a pedal. We were fit. We were in shape. All these kids want to do is just sit on it. They got their backpack filled with video games, and they're electric biking over to their friend's house.
God forbid we do something in person. And when we do, I'm taking an e-bike to get there.
And parents are so burnt out from having to drive them around all the place because they're 23 years old. They refuse to get their license. They're like, go ahead, take the e-bike.
I'm done driving you around. You're a grown adult.
Wheel of Fortune's on. I'm not going out again.
We look this good because we actually pedaled our bike over the course of decades. Yes.
We had to walk or pedal to our friend's house, and it wasn't close.
Oh, we knew how to put a chain back on. We could do everything back then.
You had to learn basic mechanics when you were a kid.
There's no way around it. We got a quick call back to, I thought of you the other day as I was finishing up after dinner, cleaning up. and I turned on the sink, and it perfectly hit the geometric center of a spoon and sent water in every direction.
Everywhere.
I said, yep, that's how it goes.
It's amazing the velocity that reflects off the concave spoon.
It's a multiplier, yes.
It really is. It is. It's at least a 3x, because no matter how hard or soft you turn the water on, it's always way over the edge of the counter and onto the floor and all over your shirt.
The deadly accuracy of hitting the person who turned the water on is remarkable, yes.
Do you remember the weather band radio? I'm driving my dad's car the other day. It's a 2002 Cadillac. And for back then, it had a lot of the most advanced tech. And one of the features they had was an AM, FM, cassette, CD changer, but it also had one of those weather band radio stations on it. And if you listen to those things, it doesn't even matter if the forecast is going to be gorgeous. It sounds terrifying in the voice that they read it.
Yes.
The wind is blowing at 1 knot, completely clear, sunny skies, and the weather's going to be 77. And all I want to do is go run and shelter in a bunker, because it sounds like Armageddon is upon us in that voice. Is that
Winds
just me?
from the west at 1 knot. Oh, what do I do? I don't even know what a knot is.
And I feel like they always record in a layer of static to make it seem like there's a lonely guy on top of a mountain somewhere next to that really giant antenna, broadcasting from 200 miles away. He's done everything he could just to make it to the station to get this message out to you.
You can.
He lives completely by himself.
The desperation is totally coming through in the broadcast. Yeah, you feel a little bad and a little bit nervous all the time.
I am terrified. The second I hear that thing, I shut it off and I just want to bunker down somewhere.
Oh, man. That's very funny. Speaking of on top of a mountain, WEQX, it's a radio station here, and it's out of Manchester, Vermont. They have a huge tower at the top of Mount Equinox, I think. And I got a story, Mike, because my band was recently played on WEQX this past Sunday, and it was an interesting moment for me, because when I first moved here in 1991, and I think you and I connected around 93, 94, but that was the heyday of alternative 90s rock. You had Nirvana, you had Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, all my favorites. And WEQX was the leader in all that stuff. I love that radio station for a very, very long time. And I recently submitted one of our songs to a program they have called WEQ Exposure, and they just highlight local bands. And they put us on, and I almost missed it. but Erica said, aren't you guys on the radio tonight? And so I found it. I got it just in time. And there was something magical about this clown playing bass guitar on WEQX for 3 decades. I've loved the station. It felt really cool. It was great.
Yeah, of course. That's celebrity status. You're amongst the Alice in Chains, the Pearl Jams, the Nirvanas.
Yes, Mike, I'm right up there with those guys.
It's one thing when you dial up a song from iTunes or your MP3 player or Spotify or whatever. That same song, when it comes up randomly on the radio, there's just something about the level of excitement.
It feels like serendipity. Something just happened, right? Now,
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
What was it? You ended up on a Disney thing? Recall that story?
Yes, while you're broadcasting over the hip alt rock stations of the Capital District and Vermont area, my claim to fame is the kids music channel on satellite radio.
Yes. But it was cool. It was Spider-Man or something.
It was right? Spider-Man. Yeah, they used to run that occasionally on the, I don't know if it was the Disney Channel or the Kids Bop satellite radio channel. They would play our version of Spider-Man on there.
That's super cool. It really is. I have another callback. I was recently in Round Lake. This is a double callback actually, and went for a bike ride. Ended up in Lee's Cakery, LEA Cakery. It's like a little bakery shop right off a little trail. And while in there, I was looking at the bulletin board where people have their business cards, a little callback there, and I saw Wiley's card on there.
Which one was it from?
I think it was Bat and Kill Motors, yeah, but it was because that's his latest endeavor. It could have been actually 7 or 8 different cards, but it was very funny to see business cards again on the as we spoke about the old fashioned throwing it in a fishbowl or on a bulletin board, and seeing our former roommate, his business on there. So,
was there a picture of him on it?
No, it was just the info for the business.
If there was, I would have drawn a tiny little mustache on it. I'm 12 years old. I can't help myself.
Well, and he has it coming. Let's be honest.
Here's Wiley, or like the devil goatee, the pointy,
exactly,
pointy goatee,
the pointy eyebrows to make him look evil.
Yeah, I'd be drawing that. We love business cards, though.
We do. I might go back to paper. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
They do have some really slick, modernized designs for business cards, though.
Do.
Speaking of businesses, do you spend much time on LinkedIn?
I do. Well, with my side gig, my mother texted me and she said, you had a sponsor on the last episode and you kind of rushed right through that. I didn't hear. I was like, Mom, that was my own business. I was laughing when I was promoting it. So she said, well, if somebody's like sponsoring you, okay, so it's Avant Industrial. It's my company. If you need any marketing in the industrial space, contact me at avant-industrial.com.
You got to do your sponsor some justice, Rich.
Exactly.
Don't shortchange them.
So yes, I'm on LinkedIn a lot, trying to make connections, make some deals, all that fun stuff.
I've yet to understand how their feed works. If I go on Instagram, that refreshes every fraction of a second. Even if I want to see something that's on there, if I just accidentally graze my screen, it refreshes to the next 5,000 things that were posted. Yet every time I go onto LinkedIn, the top feed or the top post has like a 2W next to it. I'm like, why is there nothing more current than 2W on my LinkedIn? Is it me? Am I not cycling through this properly? And if I refresh it, there's like another top post from like a week ago or 3 weeks ago or 1 month ago.
This was trending and very cool 2 weeks ago, Mike, and we think you need to know about this.
Am I doing something wrong?
It's not. I have no insight onto that part of the algorithm. No idea.
Something I thought I should bring up for some maybe some input or some guidance or opinion.
Well, they're always looking for feedback from podcasts.
Well, I was thinking from you. I was hoping you tell me I'm doing something wrong.
Well, I think you're telling me to post more often. I think you're right.
I don't know if it's who I follow or if it's just the way they cycle the feeds. So my dad calls me up the other day, right? And he's like, oh, so what are you guys up to over there? And it was a work day. And I said, well, I'm working and Mia's in school. And he goes, oh, what's Jenna doing? She home or is she out with the car? And I'm like, I already know where this is going. I'm like, Dad, what do you need? What do you need? He's like, no, that's okay. That's all right. I said, Dad, what do you need? And he goes, well, I could really go for some corned beef hash from the diner. It's like 12:07 on like a Tuesday afternoon, right? And I'm like, Dad, corned beef hash from the diner. I said, the diner doesn't deliver. I don't think there's like a DoorDash or an Uber Eats. No, that's okay. I was really craving some corned beef hash. So you know what happens. I take a lunch break.
Yes,
I take a lunch break. I go to the diner. He wants 2 orders of corned beef hash so he could have one today and one tomorrow. I surprised him with the side of home fries too.
Well, he gets some credit for being efficient and not having to ask you the next day to go back there again. You came back with 2, so kudos to Dad on that one.
A couple days later, he hit me with when you go to the store or if Nancy goes to the store, can you pick me up some kimchi and some goose liver pate? I said, so if I can get this straight, Dad, in the last few weeks, you've requested MSG, sardines, pickled onions, pickled pig's feet, kimchi, and goose liver pate. I said, why do I feel like Joe Rogan's going to hop on here
That's quite, yeah, that's quite a list of things. I'm a little concerned what that kitchen might smell like with that list of ingredients you just said, but
It's like he's living his own fear factor. I'm not sure what's happening over there. I swear it's just tests, just to see how much we care about him. He comes up with something outlandish and thinks to himself, let me see how much they love me.
your your love is being measured in hard to find delicacies. Yes,
Exactly.
I want to get your thoughts on writing cursive.
I think it's a lost art, Rich.
So where do you fall on it? It's a lost art. You wish we still had it, or do you just not do it anymore? I know people don't write very much anymore. I've got a story about my venture into, or I should say, my departure from cursive.
Yeah, I remember being forced for years in school,
Yes.
and as part of our school supply, we always had to have that special spiral notebook. You know, we would write the letter A on like 5 pages. It would take a half hour, and I don't know. There's a piece of me that thinks the teachers just did that because they had to burn time, and there was so much of the school day, and they just wanted the kids to be quiet for 45 minutes. So they're like, let's just give him some letters to practice. That way I can sit down. I'm exhausted. I was out late last night. I just want to be left alone. If I can get 45 minutes apiece, I can slide into math, go over that for 45 minutes, and it's lunchtime.
I've got at least 26 days of a coffee break.
You mentioned about writing. Spelling has gone out the window too because
yeah.
nobody's writing and everything has autocorrect.
That's unfortunate. I'm still a big fan of writing. I mean, we can't do everything on our phone and stuff. But the story, I'll never forget my 4th grade teacher, exactly to your point, being forced into these exercises. I think this was my first act of actual defiance against the system and starting my entire anti-establishment mentality. That's a story for another time. But anyway, Mrs. Decker in 4th grade was constantly pushing us to write. And I remember her saying, once you get this down, you will do this the rest of your life. You will actually prefer to write in cursive. I think 4th grade was the last time I wrote anything in cursive. I am a print guy. It dovetailed right into my first professional experience as a draftsman. I take great pride in the clarity in the way that I write, and I have not written cursive anything since.
My kids had to sign something once and it threw them because it said sign. And they were like, well, I think my younger daughter just tried to invent what she thought like script would be or something like that, but it was still loosely print.
Okay, I will say this. With signing things, that kind of is more signatory. So you do something in the style. I actually don't print my name when I have to sign my name. So there is sort of a stylistic autograph in that regard, which I guess you could argue is quasi-cursive. But any other form of communication has been printing for decades.
We're kind of the last generation of that, right? Any kid today, if they say sign here, they're going to just print their name.
Yeah, I think you're right. This paper is not giving me alternate suggestions for spelling. I keep clicking this pen and nothing happens.
I mean, like when we were kids, Mrs. Decker would be the one putting the red line under the word when it was spelt wrong. It wasn't Google or Microsoft Word. It was Mrs. Decker.
No, and I was shamed in public. Yeah, that was got my act together. I got to be honest. I never liked the woman, but
she'd walk up and down those rows, slap your paper on her desk, shaking her head so everybody would know that Crystal's got another C- today on spelling.
So disapproving. No, but it hardened us into these high-performing individuals we've become today. Yes.
Yes. I used to love titling the drawing and writing all the information.
Yeah. It was so satisfying.
Spinning your pencil as you wrote so you wouldn't flatten one side of the point.
Yes. It was an art form.
I loved it.
In fact, okay, now I got to tell you, I don't know if you can see on camera. I bought this Sharpie pen. It's like a felt tip, but it's got it totally simulates the drag because it's like a fabric-y type of thing.
Oh yeah.
The drag on this Sharpie fine point feels very much like a mechanical pencil, and that's why I love this and continue to use this on the post-it note for even tonight's show.
Nice. Do you drink Arnold Palmer's?
No, not typically.
No?
It does sound delicious though. Yeah, it's the iced tea and lemonade combination, right?
So my brother-in-law, Frank, loves Arnold Palmer's. I drink Arnold Palmer's now all the time because if I'm with him, we just make it easy and get some Arnold Palmer's, right? We're headed to the beach a few weeks ago and we go to the bagel store and he orders for him and his wife 2 Arnold Palmer's. We already know it's a disaster behind the counter, and we're waiting and we're waiting. And then he asks what was taking so long. The food comes back and he rings him up. I don't know. It's like $40 or $50. He's $50. He said that seems kind of high for, a breakfast sandwich, a bagel, and the 2 drinks. The guy did not hear Arnold Palmer. He made him 2 omelets. So he did the bagel sandwich, and 2 extra omelets. And then my brother-in-law, not only is my brother-in-law Frank upset that he didn't get the Arnold Palmers, they're out of fresh brew tea. So now he can't even get them. And then he said, how could the guy make me 2 omelets? He didn't even ask what I wanted in them.
Well, you make a good point. An omelet has to have certain specific ingredients to the customer's liking. And no, that wasn't even a different drink. You got a food.
There's always the follow-up with the omelet. What would you like in it? We have spinach, onions, tomatoes, feta, ham, American cheese, provolone. What would you like? None of that. No follow-up.
That's the beauty of the omelet. All the things you can put in it.
The customization.
It's funny you mentioned the Arnold Palmer. I was someplace recently and I looked up on the board and it said there was a John Daly. And I'm not a big sports fan, but I know John Daly is also a golfer, which seems very close to another person who had a drink, the Arnold Palmer. And I thought, well, John Daly is kind of known for his lifelong battle with alcoholism. So, yes. And underneath in the fine print, it just said lemonade, iced tea, and vodka. I'm like, oh, well, that makes total sense. It's the golfer drink with booze added to the otherwise very classy Arnold Palmer.
That guy was a monster golfer. Have you watched him? Oh, my God.
Back in the day, like he was just, wasn't he hitting it like 900 yards or so? I'm exaggerating, but he was a monster, right?
Distance. Yeah, unbelievable distance. He would tee up and send one like inches over the crowd's head.
Yeah, and he had like his shirt was untucked. He had a big beard,
disheveled. You could tell like he was out all night and drove up. He pulled up to the tour in the clothes he had on last night. He hadn't even gone to bed yet. That guy was a legend.
In his own special way. Yes, he was awesome.
Tires screeching into the clubhouse. He parks in the handicap spot all crooked. He doesn't even care.
What a character.
Where's my golf clubs? I don't know if this is a good transition, but we picked up some. Do you buy? You probably don't even buy. Every time I lead with a question, I stop myself because I'm like, oh, Rich doesn't buy that. Rich doesn't drink that. So I'm guessing you don't purchase any milk, any dairy, right? Unless you have company or for the kitty cat. That's the only reason why.
It's not my cat. Let's be clear. It's a daughter kill until I can throw my daughter out of this house. Yes, I for the moment I do have a cat. Generally don't drink a lot of milk. Every once in a while I do have a little frother. So when I'm feeling fancy on a weekend morning, I sometimes will make a cappuccino with the milk. Yes, but generally speaking, milk is not regularly stocked here.
You mentioned frother. This just happened to me. I got to interrupt my own story with another story. You have the little where you put it in, submerge it.
Yep.
And you froth it. Well, we have one of those on the counter and I'm playing with it before I came down to the show. I was goofing off in front of my kids. So I hit the power thing and I decided to touch my face with it. Oh man, did that hurt? And my wife's reaction naturally is to yell at me and hit me with the dish towel on the other side of my face.
That's super helpful. Yes.
So I was like, oh my God, my eye now.
It's a miracle you made it down to the show, Mike.
Do I got a mark on my face? It's like the parents. Come over here. I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's really solving the problem.
70s parenting. So getting back to my story, we usually always buy organic milk, even though it's like $9 a gallon and the regular milk is only like $3.99. So we buy some the other day and I made a note. We bought it on October 6th. The expiration date, I don't know if it was stamped wrong, was December 23rd.
Oh, that seems like...
Although we finished it, there was a piece of me that wanted to just take it, leave a little bit in it and set it aside and see how long it would really last for.
That's 2 months from now, Mike.
Yeah. Although milk from the King Cullen around the corner does not stay long at all. I think they're refrigerating milk at the King Cullen at like 62 degrees, I swear. We'll buy a gallon of milk. 3 days later, you go to pour it in your coffee. And as soon as you take the cap off, the milk is spoiled.
Oh, yeah.
I get a text message from my daughter asking me if I could measure the side of her desk because it's Amazon Prime Day. She wanted to order something for over there. And I thought to myself, you're both home regularly. Do you have any advice?
The measuring of the desk, you can do this when you get home, but part of me kind of wants to use a tape measure today. So I might just go do that.
I didn't even think twice about it. I just did it. And then when
Our
I got
children
done,
are very fortunate to have us. I got to be honest.
and I'm like, you know what? I am clearly overachieving on this parent
Yes.
thing right now.
What are they going to do when they venture into the real world?
Here's what's going to happen. Hey, do you think you could bring me some corned beef hash from the diner?
Don't believe what you hear about MSG. Like, if you could bring over a box of that, that would be great.
I'm telling you, it's been debunked.
It's been I saw it on the internet. Seriously, it's fine.
Hey, I wanted to do a little PSA about the show here. If you like the show, tell somebody about the show, or even better than that, maybe send them a text with a show link in it, suggesting a particular episode they should listen to.
That's a great idea. If you find something funny or relatable to friends or family or something like that, it's super easy to drop the link. It's one click. They're off and going. They can't complain about, I don't know how to find it. Really, you just touch your screen. You're good to go.
You're listening to the Cool Dad Chirp podcast with Rich and Mike.
Do you hear on the celebrity channels, they'll say something like, celebrity so-and-so finally breaks their silence?
So, okay, I don't follow a lot of that stuff, but the clickbait headlines, yes.
Wait.
Finally breaks their silence. Go, what do you got?
I should have started with, hey, Rich, do you watch any celebrity news? No, nor do I drink milk or drink.
Well, I don't, Mike, but it sounds like
Or drink
someone's
Arnold
about,
Palmer's.
I think someone's
Or do I
about to
drink-
break their silence. What do you got?
I don't have anything in particular, but that always bothers me when
Yeah.
they say, oh, celebrity so-and-so finally breaks their silence, because they position it like that person has taken a stance
Exactly.
and refuses to talk to anybody. And now they're finally willing to talk to somebody.
Something so imperative and important has occurred that I'm finally going to chime in about kale.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it's nothing significant, they'll just so-and-so breaks their silence. I don't know why. It just bothers me, Rich, a little bit.
Well, it's all about the clicks,
You're right. In this episode of the Cool Dad Shirt podcast, Rich Crystal finally breaks his silence on Arnold Palmer's organic milk and TMZ.
Stay tuned.
Sources close to the story say. That's another one. Sources close to the story. Someone stopped the gardener on the way by the estate. He's like,
Yes.
I haven't seen Leonardo DiCaprio in weeks.
He keeps saying it's organic milk. He doesn't pay for organic milk. Let me be honest.
I feel like I have so many interests in life. There's just not enough time to get to them. I
I
get
hear
crazy
ya.
about things. Do you do that?
I can't wait to retire to introduce 7 more things into my life. Yes.
Someone does something and, they mention something about history, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I want to be super knowledgeable in history. And then someone does something cool in math and I say, oh, I would love to study math when I retire. And every day I got a list of
Yeah.
something new that I want to do. I just hope I'm healthy and have enough time to get to a couple of them.
I totally agree.
Is that common, or do you think by the time you finally retire, all you want to do is be left alone?
I think as a society and as a people, we are more youthful than ever. The handful of people that I'm close to who have retired have ramped up their game. They are not sitting on a beach somewhere. They are diving into. In fact, 2 people I know have said, "I don't know how I used to have a job. I am so busy." So I'm looking forward to it, actually.
You know a lot of people that have retired relatively young, though.
Yes. But clearing 60, I guess by today's standards, 60 might be considered on the youngish side. But yeah, still very busy.
I don't know at what age I'll finally be able to retire. I just hope that I have, enough of my brain and enough energy to tackle some of these things I'd like to learn.
You got to stay engaged. I think that goes a long way to your mental health.
Yeah, I'll keep doing those Sudokus.
You
Keep the old brain sharp. I have one more point on here about my dad. It's the funniest thing.
I love your dad, by the way.
I'll call him on the phone, and it always starts off the same way. I call him, then he's like, hello. Oh, this phone, I swear. It never wants to answer. And I hear him, He's always got to come at this phone. Yeah, I'll be right there. Just this phone, trying to get you on speakerphone. And then he goes, hello, you there? Did I lose you? And then after a couple seconds of that, he comes on and I'm like, no, Dad, I'm here. Oh, you're really low. I can barely hear you. And then the littlest thing happens in the background. Like I'll open a drawer to get something. And I'll be like, whoa, what the heck's going on over there? You doing construction? And his reaction is so much more exaggerated than what has happened. Yeah, it's so out of proportion. And I'm like, 1 second ago, you're like, hello. And you're trying to raise the volume. You can't hear me. I took a spoon out of the drawer. It's like, whoa. What are you driving a Zamboni over there? Dad, no, I just got something. He's like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. I was going to tell you to call me back, when you get down from the ladder. It's always the same.
So the pattern is can't hear you. He thinks it's on speakerphone. It's not. Gets on speakerphone. It's not loud enough. And then he ramps the volume to 100. And you pick up a paper clip, and he thinks the house is coming down.
And the other day he calls me up, and I go, no greeting or anything like that. I could hear it in his voice. He's in a bad mood. I go, hello. How do you get this flashlight off? I'm like, wait. He's like, this phone. So he's got the flashlight on his phone. Couldn't figure out how to turn it.
It's been on for the past 6 hours.
Yeah. And he's all troubled by this. I'm like, just turn the phone off, if you struggle. He's like, well, I didn't think of that. So we got the thing off. I had a conversation with my uncle the other day, and this was kind of weird. They lived in Florida for many years. My aunt was looking to retire, and they thought the weather's pretty extreme there. Insurance is kind of expensive, and it was getting generally expensive to live there. So they moved to North Carolina. They moved before this recent round of hurricanes. I was asking them, how did they feel? Were they must have been relieved to not be there, not be worried about it, and have to go through all the extra physical labor, because even if you don't get hit with the hurricane, there's a lot of prep before the hurricane,
for sure.
Securing the house, making sure you're prepared with water and stuff like that. So I had asked, assuming that they would feel such tremendous relief that they didn't have to go through that and experience any damage or even just prepare. And my uncle said, it's the funniest thing that happened. He said, we actually experienced guilt because we weren't there. We had so many close friends that were down there that went through that. Because we weren't there, he oddly felt guilt. I thought that was an interesting emotion for that.
It is. And I think that's something great about humanity. It's completely irrational, but the empathy you have, guilt is for when you do things wrong. They did nothing wrong, but the empathy they have is noteworthy. That's interesting.
I was kind of touched by it.
For sure.
I was out when they had the comet that was visible. I don't know if you checked any of that out. Okay.
Missed it.
It'll come back in another 900 years, Rich. Don't worry.
So I'm putting it on the calendar right now.
There was a lot of astrological occurrences taking place at the same time. There was the comet. There was also some fantastic meteor showers. Me and my kids are on the back deck a lot. Just regularly looking at stars. It's weird. At my house here the last year, I've seen so many fantastic shooting stars.
Wow.
And my daughter and I were standing on the back deck, and we saw such a great shooting star with a long burn and a long tail out of nowhere. It happened so quick. My daughter actually reacted and ducked. Because it was such a bright, dramatic, long tail, shooting star. It was cute.
Well, it was a great moment that you guys shared too. That's wonderful.
Oh, you mentioned to me, this was the last thing that I wanted to bring up. You were away, I believe, on a work trip, and you were staying at the Hard Rock Hotel.
Yes.
You were telling me about some of the amenities for guests.
Yeah, so my day job, I'm on the CAD operations team, so I do a lot of work with software and licensing and application support and engineering and design and all that fun stuff. And so I was able to join my company. A handful of us went out to San Diego, which is a super, super cool city right on the bay. Where the Navy is everywhere. It's delightful. The weather is absolutely perfect, insanely expensive, but a super cool hang. And I originally tried to get into the hotel where some of my colleagues were staying, and it booked up very quickly. So I was pretty okay with just jumping over to the Hard Rock Hotel. And as our Uber driver was driving up and he was telling us about the great things in the city, he goes, "Oh, you're staying at the Hard Rock. This is where Ashton Kutcher cheated and destroyed his marriage. It happened right here in the hotel that you're staying." So fun fact, I didn't see that one coming.
Spoken like a true Uber driver.
Exactly. He had all the dirt. It was great. But going in there, it's just a cool vibe. I mean, it's a little cartoonish and silly, but I'm a rocker, so I kind of felt at home. But they had a very super cool thing there where you could, they had a room and they had I probably 8 or 10 different guitars hanging on the wall with small practice amps. They're like, just sign your name and you can take this up and you can jam in your, please be respectful of sound and stuff like that. But you could just take a guitar. I believe they were all Fender guitars, so I think it was sponsored by the Fender Musical Corporation. But you could take it. I was too busy to actually indulge in that. But I know. I actually kind of feel like I let myself down. But we had a lot of stuff going on, so I didn't get to do that. But what a great amenity, exactly as you're saying. Yeah. Yes.
When you told me the story, I pictured 3 different rows of guitars and like a metal dude with long hair and all black on. And then he gives you a guitar, you have to play it, and he judges you on your solo. And if it's like complete rubbish, you get to pick from the first row. And then if you're okay, you can move up to the second tier. And if you're a complete shredder, you have like carte blanche. The entire third row, you can pick any axe you want.
Like a 65 vintage Stratocaster or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
He judges your soloing.
That's funny. No, it wasn't quite that dramatic, but still a very fun time in SoCal.
Yeah, in my head, it was that dramatic though, Rich. So please don't take that away from me.
I feel like I let you down. Wow, I should have really come to this with a better story.
No, that's good. I'm sure you have plenty of incidents where kids come in right before you're about to fall asleep and like hit you with some sort of deep question. Have we spoke about this before? That leaves you spiraling before you try to close your eyes at night.
Yes.
My younger daughter is famous for it. She'll come in all somber. I'm finally calm enough so I could start thinking about falling asleep now.
Yes.
It's like 12:30.
You finally
she'll
decompressed.
Come in. She'll say something like, "Good night. Love you guys. I sometimes get so sad because I'm going to miss you so much when you're gone." Like, that's how she sends me off to bed. And now I'm like,
"Oh, is my life insurance up to date? Is there enough in my 401k? Yeah, exactly. Right.
I just get worried because you guys are getting older. And I'm like, Mia, let's wrap this good night up.
Yeah, exactly. All money and philosophical discussions must occur before 7 p.m.
I said that too the other day. I said, from now on, there has to be some sort of time during the week where I can decompress.
Exactly. You know what? That date's coming a lot sooner because you're slowly killing your father. Yes.
I tell them that. Yeah. And then they trick me into this. Like when I'm falling asleep, they tiptoe and they're like, "Okay, I just want to let you know I ordered a couple things on Amazon." And then I don't remember it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, "What is this?
What's that? I told you about this."
Yeah, I told you you were falling asleep.
It was at 12:17.
Sunday has to be some sort of decompression day.
Agreed.
All right, dude.
I can't wait for the next Starbucks or run to the store for your father's story.
Yeah, they're infinite. They just keep happening. All right, dude. Thanks. Have a good night.
See ya. Bye.
All right. Bye.